Hello, everyone, and welcome to my beginner actor series. Okay, you want to go ahead, you want to start acting, you love the craft, you love being on set, you may even have a few photos of yourself put together, and you're ready to jump into it, right? You can start small. You're going to need something very, very simple, very foundational, and that is simply just acting classes. Yes, every actor, most actors that you've seen on screen at some point have had to entertain going to acting classes. So what can you expect at acting classes and kind of what are you going to get out of it? Well, I think there's nothing wrong with jumping right into auditions without much experience because let's be real, some of these open casting calls, they don't require acting experience to begin with. But if you really want to hone in on your skills and become a better actor and get more practice and get more auditions, you should really consider and honestly highly recommend going to a lot of these acting classes are actually going to be entry level anyway, so you don't have to feel weird and feel completely ill prepared. That ill preparedness is actually going to help you a lot because a majority of acting anyway is just reacting. So a lot of these classes and these exercises that you go through are really just helping you to strengthen that muscle, to strengthen that reaction so you're not so stiff, so you can easily react and really just kind of test to see how good you are naturally at acting. So let's talk about improv. There have probably been some shows that you might be familiar with, like Whose Line Is It Anyway? Maybe even some of the SNL skits. One of my favorite shows currently that I just finished and completely binged is called Jury Duty. I highly recommend it. I think it's funny for actors and also just funny for the average Joe, but essentially it's meant to be a jury duty documentary, kind of shot in the style of The Office, and everyone is an actor except for one guy. So obviously there's going to be one particular person who doesn't know what the hell is going on and is kind of just going with the flow. It's a little scripted as far as like they try to make it so he'd react one way or the other, but there's a lot of opportunities for the actors on this set and in this show to just improv. And improv is very important because, like I said before, a lot of acting is really just reacting to whatever is going on around you, whatever is going on in the scene, depending on your personal relationship, your own character's personal traumas, situation. And why improv classes are important is because it helps you to understand how to listen to what's going on around you and react without having a script in front of you. Obviously, sometimes, especially for me, I go through auditions, I'll look at the script and I'm like, I cannot find this relatable at all. This does not sound like me. Hold on, my cat is trying to destroy my couch. Pinto! It basically prepares you for unexpected situations, like a cat tearing up your couch. But the thing with improv is that it's teaching you how to listen, how to react, and again, exercising those muscles. It's a great and honestly really fun class. Another thing that I love about improv and where it helped me personally, especially at least when I was in high school, I was a very nervous person, very anxious. It's something that helps you to kind of get yourself out of your own shell. It's also great just to build up the skill of kind of getting used to just not really caring what people think about you and thinking quick on your feet, because those are going to be all the little weird barriers that you may have to push through, especially if you're beginning acting as an adult. I feel like kids naturally just kind of don't care what's going on with them or going on around them if looking silly or goofy. It's more so encouraged, whereas when you're an adult, acting can be a little weird because you're having to unlearn some of those weird things, automatic reactions to embarrassing or weird or quirky situations, whereas improv really just helps you let loose. And one thing I really love about improv classes is you don't have to be funny, you don't have to be a pro, but it is pretty interesting to see people who've like really exercised improv classes and how quickly they can come up with good scenes. All you have to do is really show up. And another thing that's great about these classes is that it helps you kind of get more embedded within your local acting community, whether it be through theater troupes or just classes like this, where you can see people kind of on a regular basis and kind of get more acclimated and adjusted to, hey, what's going on in the acting world around you. What's kind of been a benefit since a lot of recent events is that there's so many classes that are available online remotely. So you just have to do your research, maybe see whatever fits into your budget, whatever fits into your schedule, and find an improv or acting class that can kind of work with what you got going on, and you can just do improv remotely, at least for the time being. But I'd highly recommend going in person and exercising those muscles, because one thing about acting, you don't just want to become, I don't know how to say this, but one of those actors that only acts with their face. You have to use everything in your body. They kind of have this little joke where film and television actors don't really do too much using their body, and theater kids go way overboard with using their body and their voice. So I think it's something where you can find a fine balance of being in person to practice and work those muscles, and also working remotely just to stay consistent. So maybe after a fun improv session, you get more into scene studies. So scene studies are where you're going to be handed a script. You may do individually or with a group of people, and you're going to go through every single little thing in that script to kind of understand certain beats, kind of break down maybe what a character could be saying, because they could be saying one thing but really means something else, to really understand each individual piece that's being put within the script. You're going to learn blocking, which is something like where you should be standing, how your body should be positioned. You're going to learn the pacing, how quickly or how slowly you should be delivering the lines. And you'll also learn a little bit more about working with a partner. Typically, when you have scene studies, you're working with another person. And you're also going to learn more so about emotional beats. So when I say a beat, it's kind of like a moment where you can tell maybe there's been a shift, or a moment where you reflect, or this is where your innate acting ability comes in and you're really trying to deliver whatever is going on in the scene. Like, let's say there's an unfortunate circumstance where someone is breaking up with someone, and then there's a beat where they're looking at each other, and you can tell, usually kind of put it in the notes within the script, that in their eyes they don't want to walk away from another, but they end up walking away anyway. Those are emotional beats. Those are moments in the scene or in the script where you can look at it and be like, oh, okay, there's something else going on that's not just being said. And this is really interesting because while everyone can get the same script, you can have so many different interpretations for what one person may feel is going on in the script versus another. Sometimes you may even get into something called cold reading, where it's like, hey, I've never seen this script a day in my life before, and you're handed to it and they expect you to read it however you interpret it. Which is why things like improv would be really important, because it helps you be able to think on your feet on how can I react to this appropriately, or maybe even have a unique take on something that's just been handed to you. So another thing we'll get into very briefly is going to be the different acting methods. If you even start doing a little bit of research pertaining to acting classes, you'll start to see that there's so many different methods when it comes to acting. Now, when it comes to an audition, I will say this first and foremost. They're not going to ask you, are you using the Stella Adler method? They're not going to ask you that. But these different methods are tools that you can kind of take out of your toolbox and use as you see fit. If one method over another helps you to kind of get into character and get into the role, cool. But you're not being necessarily graded on that specifically. No one's really going to watch and be like, I know their method acting right there. Again, there's so many different methods. Okay, I'm going to read off to the side because I don't know how to say all of them correctly. But you can go ahead and do your own research. You can pick up books even from the library and learn more about the history, because I think it's really important to kind of understand a little bit of everything of what you're getting into. But it's not going to be your make or break at the end of the day. It is good to know. I think everyone is very familiar with method acting. This is commonly what you hear about when it comes to someone maybe portraying the Joker. Heath Ledger's Joker, I think, is very, very popular for this method of acting as well. Who was the other guy that did it too? Whatever. It's simply when you do everything and anything that you can to take on the character as your actual living life. Heath Ledger would lock himself in his own room for days at a time, have a crazy journal where he just scribble all of these mad things and crazy doodles and laugh like a maniac and just really take on the persona of the Joker as if it were him, as if almost think of like a possession for the most part. I feel like a lot of actors and directors kind of shun this style of acting because it can be very psychologically damaging. When people talk about method acting, they try to have like their nose up and they're like, oh, I really got into character. Sometimes it really does screw you up, and that's what a lot of people don't understand, especially for roles that are emotionally very intense, like the example of the Joker. I'm just going to read off to the side because I don't want to tell you the wrong thing, and I'm probably going to butcher some of the enunciation. We have, girl, I'm just going to put it up here. If you're someone actually like a casting person watching me try to say this, don't come for me, please. I say cast, not casted, so give me a break. He believed in incorporating everything, making the imaginary real. The actor should essentially move very truthfully in whatever they're kind of pursuing or whatever they're trying to make other people believe. I know Meisner is another one as well. This is more so when you're reacting to your scene character in the moment. It takes a little bit of an approach of including the analytical as well as whatever's going on right in front of you. Other people do things as interesting as associating certain things with animals to help them move and react in a way that would make sense for whatever animal attributed to their character. But the truth is that actors do not just pick one method and that's it. They mix it with a bunch of different techniques. Again, whatever works in their toolbox for them may not be what works in the same toolbox for you. And so when you're just starting, don't get crazy overwhelmed. Do not think you have to become a pro at the different methods or a pro at improv. A big part of acting for me especially is starting to have fun with it. Get fun, get interesting, get a little embarrassed, step out of your normal box, step out of your normal routine. And with that, you'll be able to kind of see which direction is best for you. Maybe you don't like being on film and television, you prefer voice acting. Maybe you can't stand voice acting and you love theater, or maybe you literally love every single thing about acting and you want to jump into all of it. By all means, I would say these are just some of the beginner classes you can get started with in terms of acting. But once you really dive into it, I mean, you have so many other classes you can look into. They have lessons specifically for how to act on camera, how to get the best angles, how to get the best reaction, how to read the best when it comes just for acting on camera. Then you have even more, like, I believe it's called Laban body movement, where you're incorporating so much more of your body and moving boldly, which is going to be specific more so to when you're doing theater. And also remember, just because you're taking a class does not mean you're not talented. It just means you're committed. You're supposed to be learning. So get messy, get fun with it, get embarrassed. Don't worry about what other people think, because a big part of the classes is to help you get out of your own head when it comes to acting. Aside from that, it also really helps you get networked with other people. And with that, it really makes it so you can get to have a real community and kind of help boost you a little bit when it comes to acting and kind of getting more involved and learning more about what your skill sets are, your strengths, weaknesses, and everything. So walk in, log in, find a class, and basically get started. If you have nothing on your actor's resume, just showing that you've taken the initiative to take a few classes here and there, or even regularly become a part of a little improv group and things like that, will really, really help you out in the end. Because sometimes you can even take little clips and scenes from the whatever you're filming in these classes and use them to help prepare you, or use them to have a little bit of something for your demo reel. So there's more to it than just taking the class and exercising. You get to work with other people you may collaborate with later, but also maybe even build some materials for your acting package through the classes. I know I had one friend who was really lucky one time. He went into an acting class that he was a part of regularly, and there actually happened to be a casting director sitting in the crowd watching for people to see, like, oh, I think she was casting some movie and they needed like a big, hunky, but kind of like sweet dude. He ended up getting the role just because she was there and saw him and thought maybe he can audition for this. So you never know. You never know. That's all I got to say. But again, guys, thank you so much for watching. Please stay tuned for some more videos and make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And in the comments, I mean, go ahead, share with me any funny stories if you have gone to improv classes, or if you went to an improv class and after had a crazy moment, like, please share that stuff with me, because I just love hearing from different people what their experiences are and how everyone ends up growing so differently in this really weird space of entertainment. But anyway, guys, thank you so much again. See you next time. Bye.